The OCTA research team warns that daily COVID-19 cases in the country may reach 7,000 by the end of March. Still from OCTA, more minors, particularly those ages 14 and below, are contracting the coronavirus. Despite the suspension of several other countries, the Philippine Health Department and the FDA see no reason to halt inoculations using AstraZeneca vaccines. It's election day in Palawan as presidents vote in today's plebiscite, splitting the province into three. And Blackpink's Rosé blooms in the debut of her solo album R and the music video of her single On the Ground. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know to jumpstart your day, March 13, Saturday. I'm Riza Diaz. The recent surge in new COVID-19 cases have health experts predicting that the country may have at least 7,000 daily cases by the month's end. Meanwhile, more efforts to curb the spike is being implemented in the metro. JC Cosico with the details.
These Quezon City residents on board a bus are bound for the QC Memorial Circle. But they're not on a trip. They are part of the more than 1,700 residents apprehended for not wearing or wearing face masks improperly.
Gusto namin i-showcase na ganitong karami nahuli natin, ganitong karami nagbabiolate sa Quezon City.
Average daily cases in the city are now at 240 compared to 80 last month.
Unfortunately, ay hindi na pa-practice yung minimum health standard, no? Kaya nagkakaroon ng hawahan, ano?
The city also recorded 13 cases of the UK variant and 4 cases of the South African variant. To date, 19 areas in Quezon City are under special concern lockdown. This is now the case for most Metro Manila cities, with LGUs reverting to restrictions similar to those implemented a year ago when lockdowns were implemented.
Community quarantine is hereby imposed in the entire of Metro Manila and in other areas.
Back then, the country only had 600 cases. 1 year after, infections have climbed past 600,000. Still, the health department says the country's COVID-19 response has improved.
Nakikita natin na ang ating mga healthcare workers, mas sanay na sila at gamay na sila how to handle our COVID-19 cases.
But with cases reaching new highs, uniform curfew hours of 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. will once again be implemented in Metro Manila for 2 weeks, beginning Monday, March 15.
Siguro dahil naging lax na rin po itong ating mga kababayan, COVID fatigue, no? Talagang hindi na nagmamas, talagang baliwala na sa kanila, plus humalo pa itong variant na ito.
OCTA research expects daily cases in Metro Manila to reach at least 4,000 by the end of the month. As for infections nationwide,
it could go higher than that, an average of maybe 4,500 cases, and in the whole Philippines, maybe 6,500 or 7,000 at least.
They also flag increasing transmission inside homes with more cases of minors testing positive for the virus.
We have anecdotal data on increased transmission in households, but what we have seen is that there is definitely an increase in transmission or infections for minors.
They now call for additional restrictions, such as limiting capacities in establishments and offices. For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
More minors are being infected with COVID-19. That's according to Professor Guido David of the OCTA research team. In an interview with Sa Totoo Lang, David said they are seeing an upward trend of infection among those aged 0 to 14. He attributed the increase to household transmissions brought about by a so-called pandemic fatigue. He urged people to be more vigilant and to practice stricter health protocols.
Nakita tayong increase sa number of infections sa mga minors 0 to 14 years old. Mas mataas yung increase kaysa sa average kumpara sa increase sa 18 kasi tumataas naman lahat pero yung rate of increase niya mas tumaas siya. So mas marami percentage-wise yung na-infect na bago ng mga 0 to 14. So ang conclusion dyan, yun nga, marami na rin transmission sa household. Kailangan sumunod tayo sa health protocols.
Now here are the biggest stories from the dailies. From Business World, more than 4,500 new COVID-19 infections were recorded by the Health Department yesterday. This is the most number of cases logged in a single day in almost 6 months. From Filipino Star ngayon, private hospitals in Metro Manila warn that they may reach full capacity in the next 3 to 4 weeks if COVID-19 cases continue to rise. The Private Hospitals Association notes that there is a 15% increase in COVID-19 patients admitted in private hospitals, but they are mostly mild cases. And this from the Freeman. The Philippines will continue using AstraZeneca vaccines despite reports of adverse effects, particularly blood clotting in Europe. The Health Department says there is no definite evidence yet as to whether the jabs directly cause deaths and adverse effects in other countries. The DOH, FDA, and NTF earlier assured the public that they are coordinating on the matter and closely monitoring all deployed vaccines. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, while most of the country is battling a rise in new cases, Dumaguete is actually recording fewer and fewer infections. Marian Enrique with the report.
The city of gentle people might just be the city of the most disciplined Filipinos. Anywhere in Dumaguete, everyone wears a face mask.
Nasanay na rin kasi 1 year na din eh.
Panigurado lang kami para sa COVID.
Since January last year, residents have been proactive in combating COVID-19. That's after a traveler from Wuhan, China, who was the index COVID-19 case in the Philippines, reportedly stayed in the city. From December to February, the city logged some 80 active cases. That has since been reduced to 7 active cases.
Makikita mo yung mga bata, mga matatanda nasa boulevard, nag-face mask or face shield yan sila. Okay? May nag-observe.
The whole province, Negros Oriental, has 98 active cases, with 55 deaths. The Provincial Health Office said having their own molecular laboratory contributed to their pandemic response, with test results out in a day. Aside from local isolation facilities, the provincial government also has its own isolation beds in case of a surge. They are also aggressive in contact tracing.
Yung contact tracer namin na head in the province of Negros Oriental, talagang nag-town by town siya ng lecture.
In line with an IATF resolution, those entering the province no longer need to undergo RT-PCR tests. They only need to sign a health declaration form and be interviewed by health officers. Those with influenza-like symptoms will undergo swab testing.
But the local government of Dumaguete strongly opposed the scrapping of RT-PCR requirement for travelers. Mayor Felipe Remolio suggested that at least 70% of their population must be inoculated first before easing travel restrictions.
For Dumaguete's local executive, balancing the economy and public health is a big challenge.
Malaki na nilift na natin yung quarantine. That's a big help already for business. Okay, but to let go of the requirement of RT-PCR would be a very big mistake.
An RT-PCR test result is still needed to secure an acceptance certificate from the city government. This certificate is required in hotels and accommodations in Dumaguete. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Meanwhile, almost 500,000 voters are expected to participate in the plebiscite today, dividing Palawan into 3 provinces. Comelec Commissioner Antonio Co. Jr. says Palawan residents are ready to conduct the plebiscite. Strict health protocols will be implemented in polling precincts and only 5 voters will be allowed inside the facilities at any given time. Ballot boxes have also arrived in polling precincts. Voters will simply answer yes if they approve of the proposal and no if they don't agree with the 3-way split. Comelec is expecting results to be out by March 16. K-pop groups continue to dominate the music industry. Meanwhile, one R&B artist is boycotting the Grammys. MJ Marfori with the story.
K-pop icons BTS are not yet done making history. They have dominated global music sales last year. Map of Soul 7 topped the International Federation of Phonographic Industries chart with 4.8 million sales, while B Deluxe Edition came in second with 2.7 million. Map of Soul 7, The Journey's on the 8th spot with 1.2 million sales. More K-pop news, Blackpink's Rosé blooms on her debut solo album R. She also released the music video for her single On the Ground. It already has 12 million views and 2 million likes in just a few will now boycott the Grammys. That's after he failed to get even a single nomination for his critically acclaimed album After Hours. It topped the Billboard 200 upon its March release, with Blinding Lights spending a record 50 weeks in the top 10. For News 5, MJ Marfori, VR1 News.
Now, it's almost a year since the coronavirus first forced the country to go under lockdown. One News gathers officials, experts, and sector leaders for an open discussion on the highlights of our first year battling the pandemic. Let's watch this.
In quarantine. 12 months of battling the coronavirus. 12 months of living in a new normal. This March 14, One News brings together the people who helped shape the way we live in the year of pandemic. How have we managed? What we may have missed? Where are we headed? Some of the country's leading voices in the scientific and business communities face the nation as the Philippines balances public health and economy. Kumusta na ba tayo? A town hall in the time of pandemic. Moderated by Robbie Alampay and Cheryl Cosim. Join us live March 14, Sunday. We are One News.
And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us later at 10 in the morning as we monitor the day's biggest stories from sunrise to sundown. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.